You don't take blame for every piece of it, but take blame and ownership of what you can control and what you choose to put out.
Ooh, what you can control. That's a big deal. Welcome to the Impactors Podcast. I'm Corey Carter.
And I'm Ron Cool.
And we are the owners and founders of Hindsight HacKing Media, agency, podcasts, funnels, graphics, and more. Head on over to gethhm.com to learn more.
Guys, we created this podcast to help you go create an impact today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. We're taking all the fluff, all the BS out so you can go create an impact.
And today's topic is
FHAL speakers continue. And today we're talking about two. So we're going to go deep with Nick and Tony.
Yes, Ron, Nick and Tony. And for those people that are unsure of who we are meaning, Nick and Tony, one, Tony Robbins, like most people know Tony Robbins. And another one, Ron, I know you just said Nick and Tony because you didn't want to say his last name.
Absolutely.
His name is, and I'm going to probably mess this up because I still have trouble, even though I heard him say it, I heard others say it, and I can read it. I still have trouble knowing exactly what his name is. It is Nick Santonastasso, something like that.
Nick.
So let's start with Nick and the hardest last name known to man. And his whole thing, mindset matters. And, you know, a couple of the things he said was, your challenges are a gift because of who you are today.
So true. So true. For people that are listening, a couple months ago, I don't like feedback, right? I don't like feedback. I don't like correction. I don't like any of that stuff. It's just not who I am. It's all I've always been. It's stuff I've always done. However, I also don't like hard times. I also don't like trials. I don't like it's hard stuff to go through. Okay. However, when you have choices that you have to make and you choose to go through hard stuff, you better go through it and really take a look on the inside to figure out everything you can to understand why you are in that hard space, right? And then really embrace the trial and change who you are so you never go through that again.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't change, then what was the point, right? And then, I mean, just for a little backstory and why that's so relevant, Ron, is Nick Santonastasso is he was born. He was one of 12 people in the world born with what was it? It was like a heart hand disease. I believe was what it was called. And so basically, it's like you're either underdeveloped on your body or you're underdeveloped on your organs. And 8 of those 12 people had underdeveloped organs and had passed away.
Right.
4 people had underdeveloped body. And so for Nick, he has only one arm. He has no legs and one arm. And like he could have this whole life that is just horrible, or he could find a way to live it up. And I mean, he does things in the world that you and I don't do because we're afraid of heights. Like,
right.
I don't know how he does it. But it's crazy. And one of the things, like, he went through depressing times in his life and he came out for it on the better side and learned how to speak to it. But one thing's, he asks himself these 2 questions. And you and I talked before we started recording this, like you sometimes on a big thing, ask yourself a big question, but you don't ask yourself on the little things. And so it's like, what did I gain or who did I become? Like, these are 2 questions that even on the little things, if you can stop and ask yourself, like, you can improve your life. You can improve your state of mind, your thoughts, your everything. If you take a second and ask the questions as often as possible.
Absolutely. And it truly is a very interesting way to go through troubles, to be grateful for them and understand, hey, you probably were at fault for X, Y, and Z, right? And then understand what caused the actual issue. You don't take blame for every piece of it, but take blame and ownership of what you can control and what you choose to put out.
Ooh, what you can control. That's a big deal, for sure, on anybody talking mindset. And speaking of someone else that talked about what's in your control, Mr. Tony Robbins. So
Energy.
you and I,
energy.
we talked about, or we saw Tony in 2020 at FHL, and then he came back this year. And so it was an 18-month gap. And if you remember in 2020, he had just had mercury poison or something. It was like a couple of days removed. And so him being on stage was one thing, but he wasn't running and being so crazy that you might hear of him in the past. But this year, man, he was in full gear. His health was looking good, and he was running and jumping and being crazy and having fun and just controlling the energy in the room like no one else.
Right. Well, and he does it. I've seen him at the Pepsi Center out here in Colorado before, and this was years ago. And he can get that stadium like that, the stadium like that, let alone a room of a couple thousand people. Right.
That is so crazy.
It's so I got to tell you the story because it's hilarious. So I went to it, and it was a free event. Right. And so you go, and I left with like $700 worth of stuff I bought. Right? Because I was so hyped up.
Yeah.
And just do the math. They made more money not charging for tickets.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Well, last year, if you remember, he was offering some stuff at the end of his presentation, and I think the cost was like $2,500. But this year, this offer was the exact same, and it was only $1,000. He lowered it. It was very enticing, but it was like I'm pretty sure half the room, who knows, online went and got it on something, and then the first time they go to whatever, they'll buy something else.
Absolutely. That's the deal, right? So, but he usually over delivers.
Yeah. But the one thing I really want to talk about in what he was talked about was change your state, change your story. So what does that mean to you?
Oh my gosh. It can be as easy as, hey, if you're sitting, and we've had this conversation, if I'm sitting too long at my desk, like I am not as creative if I'm sitting here because my mind will wander and do all this crazy stuff. So I have to actually change my state, which is get up, go upstairs, go walk around, go outside, smell the air, then I can come back and I'm okay. But just sitting here for 8 hours, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and for me, it's like, if I'm upset, if I'm having a rough day and I'm just sitting at my desk, let's say, using that same example, the longer I sit, the more upset I'll be, even though I'm not purposely thinking about it or whatever. Right. But if you get up, go do a workout, go, do a plank, do a push-up, do a jumping jack, whatever it might be, then it allows your body, your mind to actually, change and start to improve or wherever you need it to go. Right.
Absolutely.
And the other piece to that is we all learn more by doing different things versus just sitting. Right. So if I'm trying to learn something and I'm just sitting there, like I need to stand up, or maybe I need to go do some jumping jacks and then watch something else, or, you know what I mean? Like all these different things, like if we can learn better, we can probably listen better. We can probably act better if we are conscious of changing our state to then be allowed to change that story.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you find yourself in a need of changing your state, just do it. Like, don't wait. Do it. No fluff, no BS, just impact. Go do it.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more, head on over to impactorsmastermind.com. We have a special group waiting just for you.
Guys, why are you still listening to this? Get off your phone, go create an impact today.